What up, Dynasty players in the house? It's the Dynasty front office, part of the Dynasty Warzone network. Please like and subscribe, 5-star review, and we are building championships one trade at a time. I'm your host, Jesse Schneeman, and I'm here with my co-hosts, my main man, Chad Mendoza. How you doing tonight, Chad?
Good, man. I'm surprised I'm first. I was I was prepared for third, maybe second. No, it's nice to be first up every once in a while. I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here, excited to talk about what we're going to talk about. And how are you doing, Jesse?
I'm great. Yeah. What we're going to talk about is our top 12 Dynasty quarterbacks. So part of our series that we've been doing is our top 12 lists, all your number one guys. And then we're going to talk about, we can't do 12 tight ends because, I mean, for me, after 5, the list just falls apart and I don't care. So we're going to talk about as many tight ends as you guys want to talk about. But before that, Austin's going to introduce a player. Instead of the trade banger of the week, we are going to do a rookie player profile of the week. Before that, Major Mike Casper, how you doing tonight?
I was about to say, hey, Mike made it too, by the way. So I'm here. I made it. No, it's good to be here, Jesse.
Yeah, my order was a little off, but we also have the auspicious Austin Bell. How are you tonight, Austin?
I'm good, man. I thought I was just going to start talking about the prospect and say, hey, guys, I'm here. But yeah, man, I'm good. Excited to talk about this guy. And I think this quarterback debate is going to be quite interesting, especially once we get to that back half of the 12.
Yeah, I don't think I have the same guys as you at all.
I'm sure you won't. You'll probably have the 40-year-old guys that could win us a championship. I'm going to have them 20-year-old guys that can win us a championship.
It's gonna be like Phillip Rivers. I'm like, Jesse, he's not playing anymore. Drew Brees.
I wonder if Brady could score points if he's the one running the Raiders. You think we could get like part ownership points?
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Wouldn't be worth much for a while.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's gross. Tom Brady just, I don't know. I don't understand like his dual role right now as owner and broadcaster. Can we just get rid of him?
Just wait until he anoints himself as the quarterback.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
I know, right?
He's like, get rid of him as a broadcaster, honestly.
What if this was the long play? He just becomes the owner of a team just so that he can make himself the permanent quarterback forever.
That'd be fun.
Oh, man.
All right. So player of the week is Ashton Genty. So we're not going to make it hard. We're just going to go with the top guys in the beginning. And then, each week we'll just go deeper and deeper. Austin, can you introduce Ashton Genty to us?
Sure can. Boise State running back, should be Heisman winner of the season, but unfortunately was runner-up to another guy I'm sure we'll talk about here in a couple weeks. He is a true junior, 5'9", 215 pounds. He had 374 carries for 2,601 yards with 29 touchdowns. He averaged almost 5 yards a carry after contact. Led the NCAA in weeks where he ran 21 miles an hour or faster. There's so much to like. His break tackle percentage is almost 40%, which is second in the last 20 years behind 2022 Bijan, and it's by 0.8%. It's pretty crazy. Breakaway rate is as high as anybody since Joe Mixon, his crazy year in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild, man. It's crazy stats. Seen metrics where he's, the best prospect, this and that, and seen some where he's up there with the rest of them, which is kind of where I would put him. I don't think he's anything close to what we saw with Saquon and Bijan personally, but he's still a very, very good running back, and in the right scheme should be a great fantasy asset.
Yeah, different style than both of those guys. I mean, I think Bijan and Saquon are kind of similar. Genty's totally different. He's very bursty, quick, fast, and just like a downhill bowling ball. Personally, kind of reminds me of like a faster, a little bit smaller Maurice Jones-Drew. You guys remember him?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of him, Chad?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like him. I'm with Austin in the camp that I don't think he's Saquon. I don't think he's Bijan level prospect, but I think he's going to be a fun player to watch in the NFL. I'm interested to see how he develops as a pass protector, so that he could potentially stay 3 downs and not have to come off the field. But I think initially that may be a concern. Where if a team that takes him has a veteran on the field, maybe they just kind of slow roll him into a 3-down roll because I think that is a little bit of an issue right now. But other than that, I mean, it's hard to find any kind of things to nitpick about him. I love a running back that can make people miss, and this guy is just silk, man. It's
Yes,
fun.
he is.
Yeah, it's pretty natural hands. I don't think he's skilled at like a movement kind of guy. I don't think you're going to start lining him up at the slot like right off the bat. He's not like James Cook, right? But like a weapon with his route running and whatnot. But I do like the hands. I think he could potentially catch 40, 50 balls, no problem.
Yeah, his 23 tape's a lot better on receptions. He wasn't used as much this year. Yeah.
But 80 receptions over 3 years is pretty good.
Yeah, it's plenty.
I think that's pretty awesome. And no fumbles. That's pretty awesome.
Well, no, he fumbled twice.
Besides in the quarterfinal game.
Exactly. Of course.
When he's still trying to break first contact of every hit. Yeah.
A couple other things that I saw when looking him up. He hit 22 mile an hour multiple times over the past 2 years, which is a huge top end speed.
Mm-hmm.
The Boise State strength coach is one that works directly with the Freaks list. I don't know if y'all have heard of that, but every year before the college football season, they put out the top athletic freaks in college football.
Oh, yeah.
And the Boise State coach works directly with them. He was squatting over 600 pounds before the season and cleaning 340, which put his strength to body weight ratio of 6.23, which they said was top 10 over the past decade at any position. So, it's pretty crazy. He's definitely going to be a fun person to watch if he gets on the right offense.
Is he clearly the 101 for you?
Yeah. Just partially because how hard running backs are to acquire, and especially ones at young age. Yeah, I mean, I can't see an avenue that I'm going to take a receiver over him. And that's the only thing that there's not a quarterback in the class that I'm taking in the top 4, so much less at 1.
How about you, Chad?
It's going to depend on the team and the draft capital for me. I don't think he's a lock for the first round, personally.
I was going to ask that. What you guys thought? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a lock. I do think he goes in the first round, but I don't think it's by any means. I don't think we're talking about, like I said, like a Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Bijan kind of guy where you're like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. We know 100% he's going in the first round. There's a chance he goes, beginning of day 2, at least how I see it right now. So with that being said, I think there's some pretty fun, talented wide receivers in this class that if they land on the right team, maybe I'm tempted to go that way. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I have him as my 101.
Okay. Right on. I have an open mind. I could be swayed, especially if Travis Hunter plays wide receiver only. All right. There's Ashton Genty. That's tough. We're just going to have to call him Genty or AJ. Or Mike can come up with a nickname for him.
I'll figure something out.
Right on. All right, guys. That's our player profile of the week. Ready to do some quarterbacks?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, right on. So I guess we're going to do tiers like we did last week with the running backs. Let's just do tier 1. Mike, who's your tier 1 quarterbacks?
So I've got Allen, then Lamar, then Burrow, Mahomes is in my tier 1 for me. So I know Mahomes obviously had a down fantasy year, but we'll figure it out. And I like Hollywood in there and what I've seen so far. Curious to see what more he does in the playoffs.
Chad? You're muted.
I've got the same exact order and the same exact tier.
Oh, wow.
Wow, nice. Austin?
I just have a tier of 3, and it's Josh Allen, Lamar, and Burrow.
Okay. So Mahomes is not in that tier for you.
He is not.
Okay. So I have the same 4 players in my tier 1 as you guys. But I have Lamar first. So I have Lamar, then Josh, Burr, Mahomes. I don't want to spend all night debating it, but can you see where I'm coming from, or do you think I'm crazy for having Lamar over Josh?
No, it's fine. I don't. If they're in the same tier, I'm not going to argue it.
Yeah.
There's really not. I mean, literally, these guys, how I see these 4 guys, if they're in any single order, if they're in any order, and finishes this next season, like, okay. Yeah. I mean,
any of them could be the QB1. Absolutely. I just see those are the top 4. Those are the 4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. All a little bit different, but yeah. Like, of the 4 of those, though, Mahomes probably has the least trade value.
Yeah. Whoever has them isn't willing to give him up for probably what his fantasy season was worth. Right.
Or are they sick of him?
I think he's probably more attainable than Mike just alluded, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
I
we all
see
have him.
Mahomes moved anywhere. I don't even think over the season I saw him moved.
We all have him above Daniels,
a few
but
times.
I feel like
I have Daniels above him.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that's kind of a popular opinion. I think a lot of people would rather have Daniels than Mahomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now in the community, you could easily move Daniels for Mahomes plus.
I'd like to do that.
I'd do it for plus.
Yeah. If I can get something on top of Mahomes for Daniels, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we do.
Right on.
Not the same player because obviously Daniels has the running ability there as well. But I mean, we just saw the fall of CJ Stroud after a ridiculous season 1. It's not impossible. I mean, we've just seen so much good from Mahomes. I think it's much more likely that this is just a down year for Mahomes than it is, something where Daniels is just going to do this or better every single year for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady went through seasons like this in their career arc. And at some point, Mahomes will be the unquestioned number 1 dynasty quarterback again at some point.
So he had the almost exact same stats last year as he did this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So really, it's 2 years in a row that he's had that happen.
Yeah. It's definitely not just one season for sure.
He happened to finish 8th last year, but I think we had more QB injuries as to why those guys were further down.
What was finished this year?
11th. Whereas before it was 1, 4, 4, 7, 1. So I'm worried the ceiling's not there as defenses have changed from allowing him to throw the ball deep consistently. I'm worried that we're not going to see the 5,040 touchdown seasons from him. Maybe a sporadic one here or there, sure, but I'm worried that that's not going to be the common theme that like we were seeing almost for 3 years straight.
Well, their defense being so good, definitely puts a cap on that.
I mean, he's also got the worst supporting cast out of the elite guys. You can argue Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is kind of an outlier just because of what he can do with his legs. He just makes stuff happen. Mahomes doesn't have that ability. He needs guys around him to get open, to make plays, and he doesn't have that anymore. Kelsey's slowing down. Rice is not playing for obvious reasons, and the rookie didn't work out quite the way a lot of people thought he would. So I think they're starting to see that, hey, we've got to get some guys around him that have at least at least deserving to be in that tier of an offense. And I don't think they have anybody outside of an old Kelsey that can, that's deserving or fitting of that role to be wide receiver or running back or what have you.
Yeah. I mean, I assume they'll fix that in the offseason. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, this is a long-term investment, so I assume at some point, yeah, they'll absolutely fix that. All right, Austin, you're the only one that has a 3-player tier, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your next tier?
It is also 3 players, and it's Jalen Hurts at 4, Jaden Daniels at 5, and Mahomes at 6.
All right, it's not too far off for me. Mike, tier 2.
I had just Daniels and Herbert.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
some serious Hurts hate.
It's not hate, just
I mean,
worried. I feel like he hasn't really developed as a passer, and I don't know how much longer that's going to last. And that worries me. Like, I love the legs and stuff, and he'll keep the supporting cast around. And I've got a lot of Hurts.
Yeah, it's not because he knocked you out of the playoffs in a couple places.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just making sure. All right.
Yeah, it just kind of worries me.
How about you, Chad? Tier 2.
I've got Daniels and Hurts.
All right. Yeah, I have Daniels and Hurts, and then I have I think that's just the tier, and then I have Herbert after that, but I think that's the start of a next tier. So yeah, I've Daniels and Hurts. I actually have Daniels above Hurts, but they're just kind of neck and neck.
Yeah, same here. I spent all day trying to decide which one I wanted at 4 and which one I wanted at 5.
In the end, I put Daniels above Hurts because I just think he's better.
Yeah.
That's coming from an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
I went Hurts because of what Chad mentioned about the Stroud drop off.
Mm-hmm.
I really hesitated putting Daniels above Mahomes because of what we saw with Stroud, and we see it with a lot of quarterbacks in year 2. But I do think the rushing saves Daniels' floor, so I kept him above for that reason.
If they fail to put the right weapons around him in the offseason, you could see his value drop.
I mean, this is probably a hot take. I think Daniels is better than Hurts, and I don't think it's really close. Like, it's just a player.
I have him in separate tiers, so that's why. Yeah, I agree.
As a player.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as a player. As a
fantasy producer, Hurts is
so good.
Pretty hard to question.
Yeah, of course. The one thing that I worry about with Hurts, and like I said, I have them in the same tier, but the one thing I worry about with Hurts is if the injuries continue, at one point to the Eagles, I don't think the Eagles are stupid. I think they know that he's not driving them up and down the field, the way a top tier NFL quarterback should be in that offense. At what point do they wake up and just say, you know what, let's try somebody else?
He probably got 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, but how many years is this in a row where he's been injured? Like late in the season, wasn't he injured last season too?
He played through it.
But I mean, he started or something like that.
He was hurt all year. This year it was a concussion. Yeah. That's not. Yeah. He didn't.
I'm not saying like he's injury prone. I'm just saying like. I don't think he's really missed anything.
He missed a game where all the starters sat and won them.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think he's that good. I think the team is so good, and he is the weakest link in that team for me personally. And I think it's really apparent.
Yeah, I think some of the things that he does are underappreciated. His rushing is definitely, it doesn't look the same as other quarterbacks, but he's very, very productive, and we can count on him in short yardage. It's really weird. I guess the only other team that does that or used to do that is the Bills with Josh Allen. He's been their short yardage back for years. It's a highly valuable. But yeah, he's just not developed as a passer.
I think that's what worries me from the long-term perspective of it. And it's like, I know Jaden Daniels is pretty polished as a passer. Yeah, he's going to be year 2, but he's got his legs. Plus, I know he's going to be a starter there forever. But like Chad said, like 2-3 years, that's forever in Dynasty. But
I think he got less aggressive this year too. It's just a lot of times he just holds the ball, pumps and holds the ball. And I really, with those wide receivers, tight ends, I don't think that there's that many plays without guys open. I think
it
not
looks
willing to throw into the windows.
It looks really bad for him too, because when he is holding onto the ball, your offensive line is really, or I say your offensive line because you're an Eagles fan, but the Eagles'
It's
offensive
fine.
line is
It's okay. I'll take credit.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah.
So like he's sitting there patting the ball for like 3-4 seconds, and you see guys running open.
Most of his sacks he runs himself into. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, it's really not. Yeah, you can't put them on the offensive line. You get a lot of like long sacks.
Yeah, I mean, like I watch every Eagles game, and I just, man, to me, he looks like the worst player in that offense. And
he definitely doesn't look like he progressed at all this year.
Yeah.
But it's first year in a new offense, so we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, and when I say worst player, I mean worst star. Like I'm not saying like he's the worst player on the entire offense.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. I mean, I wouldn't rather have Tanner McKee starting or anything.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't sounding crazy, but no, he's out of all the star players, he just doesn't look like he fits for me.
Well, that's why I had to put Daniels above him, because if they do surround him with the right weapons,
So Hurts has an out, or the Eagles have an out after 2027. Before that, it's like big money dead caps, which we've seen NFL teams not care, but with the
including
production,
the Eagles,
with the
fine.
production they're getting currently,
That's
as
why
in
they
wins
won.
and losses, that
Right.
he's not going anywhere. So 2027 is the first realistic. It's only $7 million dead cap. They have to eat a lot more years, money spread out void wise, but that's not the point. So yeah, I mean, 2 more years realistically, you should feel pretty comfortable. Which for my QB1, that's fine. If I have a bad season, you just go and move him for somebody else.
Yeah, bring on Arch. Yes.
Y'all won't be that high. Y'all won't be that high.
No, he's just saying that to hurt me, but it doesn't work. It's not happening. So,
All right, is that everybody's second tier? Did we do everybody's second tier?
We did.
All right, what's it take to get from second tier to first tier?
not much at all.
Yeah, I'm probably not even worrying about it personally.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
either.
All right.
It's the next tiers where it starts getting costly to get to that first.
All right. Well, who you got, Austin?
I have 3 names again, and it is Herbert, Drake May, and Jordan Love.
That's
And that
really
would be
weird.
7, 8, 9 for me.
Exactly the same for me. That's I don't understand what's going on here. I like it. Chad's gonna say Tua next.
No, he might say Bryce Young, and then I'm just going to clap my hands, but
He shouldn't.
Tua won't come.
He can't be on this list. Mike.
I had Hurts right at 7, then Love, Knicks, and May.
Knicks.
I can
Really?
get behind it.
Knicks above Drake May, huh?
Yeah. He
Okay.
looks a lot better
Oh,
this
okay.
season, at the end of this season.
I don't agree with that, actually,
Yes.
but that's
He looks a lot better than Knicks looks a lot better than he did, or he looks a lot
He
better
did.
than May?
Then he did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I can get behind
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, than he did when he started the season. And I think it's
Yeah,
only
absolutely.
it's only going to go up. They're going to get playmakers like at some point, and with what he's got, like this is the worst cast he's going to have. So, what QB8, right? So it's just
This
he
is the
runs-
worst cast he's gonna have.
oh yeah,
You
Yeah.
can't do any worse than Cortland Sutton.
no, I don't think so.
I mean, we weren't saying that the last 3-4 years with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, like no, I don't know. I never thought he was a world beater. So
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you could sign Gabe Davis. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
you
that
could
you could do worse.
You could always do Gabe Day.
they're not dumb
Won't talk
enough
about
to
Gabe
do
Davis.
that. Yeah.
Don't give Sean Payton too much credit.
All right, Chad, who's your tier 3?
Do give him credit.
Yeah, I think you guys are gonna think I'm crazy here. I'm going Herbert, May, Nix, Love on the same tier.
That's what I had, just in different
Yeah. it's
Oh,
the
was
same-
it the same?
Same
different
guys.
order. Yeah.
Yes, same
Yeah, I
guys.
had Herbert, May, Love. I just don't have Knicks there.
Yeah.
No.
Next is in my next tier.
Not on my list.
Jesse doesn't like points.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I'm just hunting upside in this tier, with May and Nix and yeah, even Herbert, really just hunting upside. I think those are guys that you don't really know what the future looks like for them, but I believe in the talent of all three of them. And then Love, I just think he's super consistent. Kind of QB1 for me. I just like his game. I like everything about him. So I think he's always gonna. I think he's perennially gonna be in that kind of 7 to 12 range.
He didn't really have that good a year.
It was a
just
wild year for the Packers, though.
didn't- He
with
was so up
injuries
Yeah.
and down,
The
and then
injuries was weird.
yeah,
I think it's one of those things where it's just the whole NFL from a passing perspective was just really odd. And then all the injuries that they had to deal with this year. I think they're going to do something for him. They've got to, because that wide receiver core is not it for me.
And for the Packers,
Yeah.
you think that they're going to add a wide receiver to the 15 to 20 of them that they already have?
No, I think they need
tore
to.
his ACL, so he's
Yeah.
going to be out next season.
Yeah,
so.
they've got to add a wide receiver. They have no choice. You can't just collect a lot of wide receiver 2s and 3s and then just say, hey, let these guys add up to a 1.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know?
That is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels did his impression of a wide receiver 1 for like the first 4 weeks or so, and then
Jaden Reed, but yeah.
that's what I meant. Thank you.
I mean, Daniels might, though.
Jaden Daniels can do whatever he wants. If he wanted to be a top wide receiver, he could.
Maybe.
Yeah, Love had a really bad year this year, but I don't know, just from where it was in the beginning of the year, when everybody was healthy, everybody was there, like it just didn't look the same that second half of the season.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They also started leaning on Jacobs really hard that second half.
Yeah, 100%.
So can't really knock him for that.
I wonder what his average attempts were for the second half of the season, because I know they did fall off a cliff, but I haven't really looked at them.
So this tier, I mean, if I have Drake May, I guess I'm just going to hold him and not really try to move up, right? I guess I'm not trying to tier up for Drake May, because who knows what can happen with him. He could end up being one of these guys in a year or two, right? Top tier guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm probably not doing it with any of the ones I have.
What about
Because I-
Love?
Yeah, I mean, I would pay a first for one of those guys above, but how many of those am I going to get? Other than that, I'm probably just going to hold Love and hope he gives me another top 10 season that I think he can.
Chad, Jordan Love, and 106 for Mahomes.
Yeah, I'd do it.
Well, he's got Mahomes at 4, so you probably need to go a little bit lower.
You would
than that.
take Jordan Love and 106?
No, I'd take Mahomes.
You would take Mahomes. Okay. What else would I have to give you?
I mean, I don't really want to tear down from Mahomes
Okay.
at the moment, personally. But yeah, I mean, I want to see what Mahomes is going to do next year.
Yeah.
If I have him.
I mean,
But-
I think the only other guy that you could get to would be maybe Hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I would tear down especially if I wasn't like a team where I thought, I had a really good chance of winning the championship the next year. Then I'd have no problem tearing down from Hurts to a guy like Love and getting a pretty early first on top of that.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're all pretty much the same here, except that I don't have Knicks.
I don't either. Nix is in my 12, but he's not in the top 9 that I've said so far.
Okay. Who's your next tier? Is it the next? Is it
It's
the rest of your
the
12?
final 3? Yeah.
Okay.
Which really, there's like 10 guys that I kind of wanted to discuss, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
We could do some honorable mentions.
but I went with Stroud, Nix, and Kyler.
Mm.
I didn't really love it, to be honest. I switched it probably 4 or 5 times in the past couple of days. But this is what I landed on before the show.
Yeah, I changed mine around pretty well too. How about you, Mike?
My last two, because that was 10, so I've got Baker then Stroud.
Baker, huh?
Yeah.
You're the only one. And Stroud, okay. And for you, Chad?
I've got Kyler and Stroud.
Kyler and Stroud. Okay. I have Purdy 10, Tua 11, so I'm the only one with Tua.
Duh.
And Purdy.
And Kyler. And
Yeah,
Purdy,
yeah.
I'm the only one with Purdy?
Yeah.
Surprising. Young quarterback linked to that offense that they're jumping out of their shoes to extend right now. All right. And I had Kyler. I put Kyler in at the end. I had Stroud there, and then I put Kyler, and I kind of switched them back and forth. So I definitely have Stroud in the same tier, I guess. The possibility.
I hate
of
Kyler.
rebounds.
It's probably personal bias. I was so frustrated with Kyler this year.
Yeah, he hurt me this year.
So once I got Knicks on my redraft team, I just started Knicks all the way, and I was happy. Won the championship. Didn't have to
You
deal
only
with
finished 30
Kyler.
points less than Knicks on the season, and it felt so terrible.
It did
It felt so bad, but it's 30 total points.
because
It
it was
was-
either league winning week or
Yeah.
league
Yeah.
losing week.
He was so up and down. So you either had to commit to starting him every week and knowing like you were going to
When
get
he
at
was
least
good,
those those hit games. If you just tried to like spot start him, he could
Yeah.
drive you insane.
Yeah.
Kyler was
Yeah.
really weird this year.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it was really annoying with all that talent around him. I don't know. I expect so Memphis had, Memphis and I talked to Sells last night, and he had MHJ as his rookie sell.
Mhm.
His argument was, what's going to change around him? It's still going to be Kyler, still going to be the same coaching, still going to be McBride, still going to be Michael Wilson. My argument is that MHJ, like Marvin Harrison's going to change. He's going to take a jump from year 1 to year 2, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he's 21.
I mean,
That's exactly what I'd said. He was 20, but I guess he's 21.
everything
but yeah,
staying the
yeah.
same. Everything staying the same could be a benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another year in the offense for a wide receiver, which is traditionally just a really hard position to break out year 1. So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I believe in the talent. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I see where you're coming from, though. If you are worried about him and nothing's changing, then maybe you don't see a solution there.
I'm certainly not trading him away.
No.
To find out,
No.
Other guys I have in this range are Baker and Goff for sure. I think that's really it for me, though. The guys that it could be, perennial QB1s. Goff is a little old, though.
He's the same age as Baker.
Yeah,
So-
and he's also a little old. That's both of them are just a little old for me to put on this list.
Yeah.
It was really my only issues with those guys. I think the production's going to be fine for both of them.
Yeah, we didn't mention a name, which is fine for top 12 right now, but it could look really stupid in 12 months. So I had him at 13, and it's Caleb.
Mhm.
That feels like it could be a dire mistake.
Yeah.
To not have him in this very close range to a top 12 quarterback, even as bad as it was. We all had him at 1 last year. And there's no reason for 1 year to just end somebody's career.
You
We
mean
watched
rookie
him.
101?
Yes.
No, I mean I think like 16 or 17 for him is reasonable after the year he just had.
I mean, I have him 13 as well. And what I'll say is 12 is an arbitrary number. We're just throwing top 12 guys.
Yeah.
Really doesn't mean anything when there's 12 guys that finish as QB1s, right? But at the end of the day, I
The
mean,
difference between their points per game.
yeah,
is-
well, 12 and 13, 12 and 14, 12 and 15, any of those guys could be QB1 on any given season. Caleb Williams for me. If he has a great year, jumps up to, QB7, QB6 in my rankings, I'm not surprised. But at the same time, there's a ton of guys that are not on this list that could have those kind of seasons. We haven't talked about, Jesse has obviously, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Baker, those kind of guys could have great years and rival any of these guys we've listed in, from really 4 on, right? Or 5 on. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many good quarterbacks.
Yeah, which is a great problem. And honestly, probably am underplaying Baker. He's been really good the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He
changed coordinators too. That's what was impressive about me.
And he's likely going to do it again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You think
he might lose Godwin. So
you think Liam Cohen's going to get a head coach job?
He's from what I've seen today, the leading candidate for the Jags job, which I would really like.
Ooh, yeah, I would too.
So that 3 times in 3 years is really tough for any quarterback. But Baker's gone through hell and back as a quarterback in the NFL. So if anybody can do it, I'd have some faith he could. But he was phenomenal this year.
He'll still have Mike Evans. He may not have Godwin, but he didn't have Godwin for most of the year anyway. And with those 3 running backs, it'll take a lot of pressure off of him. Still get a good line.
Yeah.
Give me any quarterback at cost, it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's cost?
I bought him in 2 leagues for a first.
I bought him for a first too.
Yeah. I don't think I could get that lucky, but I'd absolutely pay that.
I think I paid a first and a second. In 1 league, and then in the league with you, in the trade with you, Austin, I think it was Tank Dell before you got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a first and a second, I pay that all day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the cost on Goff?
Probably the same.
Probably
it should be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might rather have Goff, but it just depends on the day that you ask me. I might not.
Baker. I'd rather have Baker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Baker can run a little bit, so I think I'd rather have Baker.
It's true. Goff is kind of a statue, but his weapons.
I was literally about to say, I like the weapons attached to Goff much better.
But he could be losing his offensive coordinator too, and we'll see how much that really matters with all of that talent around him, and that great line. We'll see. Who knows? He's blended it together perfectly. It's not always easy to do.
Yeah. I just see Baker as a bigger part of that offense than I do Goff as a bigger part. How can I word this? I see Baker as more instrumental to his team than Goff is to his. When I watch, just some of the plays Baker was making this season look like an absolute elite quarterback. It's pretty insane. I don't understand how we've got to this point. He was a really good prospect, but he looks like a completely different player. I really like Baker. I'm as many leagues as I can buy him in, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So what's the cost on Kyler these days? I think the shine's come off him a little bit since last offseason. He's always been undervalued since he got hurt.
Yeah, but it should be around the same as Baker for first and a second. I don't think he's 2 first in costs.
I wouldn't pay 2 first.
Well, you also said you have a vendetta against him, so we probably could stay out of this one.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about football. I can honestly see him quit and go play baseball.
Still?
Yeah.
There are still people saying that? He's 27. He's not playing baseball.
I'm sure.
Oh my God. Dude.
Yeah, I just hate it. Like every time the Cardinals are
losing,
losing, he's just poo-poo shit face and can't lead a comeback, then looks like shit for the rest of the game. I feel like it's every time I watch that. If they're winning, cool. He'll get his points and you'll like where he's at. But it feels like every primetime game that I watch.
Just do it last week or the week before. Didn't they?
He just dominated last week.
I think he threw 5 touchdowns or something.
Yeah, he was 25 for 29 for 350 and 4.
Was that against backups?
I don't know. Just week
so.
8. This is the last week of the season.
Was he winning the whole time?
No, it was back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's been my experience with them.
It's personal vendetta. I get it. I got those guys too.
I mean, I would pay 2 first for Kyler. Come on.
Well, then why wouldn't you for Mayfield or Golf?
I didn't say I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
If they were late firsts and I really needed a quarterback, I might. For one of those guys, I'd rather not. I'd rather give you a first in 2 seconds.
Jamie in the
yeah.
chat wanted to mention Call of Duty came out this year, so that would explain some of the up and down.
There is a new Call of
Yeah.
Duty this year. That's true.
Yeah, the problem is that it comes out every year in November, so we really need to talk to Activision and tell them, hey, hold this off until like April.
April, yeah.
Yeah. But I remember the week it came out, he had the best game of his season. So like that shut the narratives down. Is the game he had the perfect passer rating. So everybody's like, oh, nope, Call of Duty didn't get him, but maybe he just got a late release. And since nobody else will bring it up, I'm gonna bring up my QB 17 currently, and future QB 12.
Bryce?
Yeah, future QB 12
Price.
and Bryce Young.
Austin, you bring him up 3 times a day.
At
Literally.
least. Well, that's your fault, to be honest.
Because you post something about you text me something about him every day.
Exactly.
And
Because
the second I get annoyed with it, you double down.
Yeah, I just see it. It's in my timeline. It's just how
And
it
I
goes.
just instigate, which is great. It's in a group
Well,
chat.
Chad, that's all you do all the time.
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's true.
You're
It's pretty
professional.
awesome.
Chad's a professional pot stirrer.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things to wait for each day. Is just Austin's daily text about Bryce Young and Jesse just getting. You can't obviously.
I normally
in
ignore it.
text.
I normally
Yeah.
say nothing. Today was
It's pretty
not that
fun.
day.
It's pretty fun.
What's Bryce worth?
Yeah, Jesse, what's Bryce worth?
I mean, he's rehabbed. You can actually get, probably a good first for him.
What are you paying
You know,
for him?
Me? Yeah.
106?
Yeah. I pay 106.
105?
Yes.
104.
That's probably where I draw the line. Even though I don't know who the 104 is yet, I think there's probably enough elite talent in this draft that it's probably where I draw the line. There's still enough ifs and what ifs about Bryce Young, and like everything you text us, Austin, is after week 8 in the last 5 in this 5-game sample size. What about in the 8 games before that, and then the entire season before that? I understand something seems to have changed with the young man, but as we've seen with CJ Stroud, things can also go back the other way.
I completely agree. I think there's a lot of what ifs with Bryce. Like, what if the Hall of Fame Gold Jackets don't come in his size, right? Or
they don't.
What if?
Trust me.
What if
They
they
made
don't have,
one
yeah.
Febreze, and that's it.
What if they don't have the raised cleats for him next year that give him an extra 3 inches that he's supposed to be playing in?
I mean, that's
actually,
that's
Jamie
all
just brought that up in the chat. That's funny. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, that's all I have on Bryce Young. I mean, honestly,
I'll have some more for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll just start matching you with like Sixers tweets if you want.
That's fine, as long as it's Jerry McCabe
they're so hard to watch. They're really hard to.
Oh
follow
well, Bryce isn't hard to watch. That's the good thing.
All right, what is he worth to you, Austin?
I'd pay the 106, 206.
That's not objective. You're not even being objective.
I'm not a biased fantasy player. That's not
kidding.
how I do it.
I'm joking. No, that's reasonable.
I mean that's what I'd pay.
What would you pay? What would you pay for him, Mike?
Probably 106, maybe 105. Yeah.
Okay. Chad, your opinion doesn't really count because you've always been the highest on him, so we can't really.
Let me hear it, Chad. Nah, unmute yourself and hit me with that 101 because that's what I wanted to say.
That's gross. Would you rather Bryce Young or Tet?
Here's
right
the
now,
thing: it's
Chad?
because
You
like
love
what
Tet.
I would pay for him is irrelevant because I don't have to pay what I would pay for him.
Because I have
Right?
him everywhere.
Yeah, well, not just that, but also because
to
everybody
anyone
else
listening to
disagrees
this
with me.
podcast, yeah, you do have to pay that.
So it's one of those things where hey, I can get him for. I think I could get him for 106 almost anywhere.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
probably if I didn't have any shares and I wanted to share really bad, this random hypothetical situation, and somebody knew how much I liked him and they were trying to squeeze me for everything I had and we had to get a deal done. Maybe 103, 102.
Yeah. I think I would too, to be honest. Just a single
Yeah.
first.
I mean,
Because I don't like any of these quarterbacks.
yeah,
I
he's
like
better than
Bryce.
any quarterback in this
Yeah.
class. Sure.
If I need a quarterback, I would give my early first for him. Just as anybody else above on his list too. I feel the same way. Like I'm not trying to be biased there, but outside of Genty off of pure value and Tet off of how much I like him, like I would give any player in the draft for him because I want the quarterback and I don't like any of these guys.
I watched him and I watched him in college. I know how good
Yeah.
of a player he is. I watched him these last 8-10 games and he just looks like the player I thought he was. So that's what's doing it for me where I'm like, okay, that's the Bryce I know. I don't know who that other guy was. Don't want to see him anymore. Hopefully we don't. But I'd rather take a shot on that because I saw him do it for so long in college and then it just looks the same right now. So I believe in it. But I mean, I'm not, I'm not gonna pretend that there's not a bunch of people out there that would have him as like QB 25.
Which I think that's consensus. Actually, I was looking, and I think he's 24 or 25 in consensus right now.
Wow.
Like Penix is above him, Darnold's above him, Dak.
Darnold, yeah. Penix is. I don't.
Darnold,
think so.
yeah, is a crazy statement to me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how old's Darnold? 20.
he is 20. He'll be 28 before the season starts.
Oh yeah, he's prime of his life, and he's going to get a giant contract from someone. Yeah, I like
the
Darnold.
Raiders.
I like Darnold.
Yeah.
Darnold's put up an elite season. Whole season.
Yeah.
If he stays with the Vikings, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
if he stays with the Vikings, then I feel much better about him. If he leaves, I'm not touching him.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where he leaves to. If he goes to Tennessee, don't you
Yuck.
think he can run Brian Callahan's system? I think he can.
Yuck.
They'd have to add some weapons.
Honestly, anywhere else other than the Vikings, and I don't want him.
Yeah.
What was the other name? There was another name in there.
Dak.
Dak. I don't know.
Obviously, T-Law and McCarthy was another one above him.
Oh, Penix. Penix is
Penix, yeah.
I'd rather have Bryce than Penix. At least Bryce has had his ups and downs. Penix hasn't had any of those yet. Like 2 starts is nothing.
It was crazy. Watching that Atlanta game last week, Penix made throws, and I'm like, yo, that's elite. And then the very next throw, you're like, where are you throwing it to? Like it was so wishy-washy, and some of the throws are just gorgeous, and then the next throw is like 10 yards above the guy's head.
Give him a full off season.
Yeah,
it'll help a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Are you guys comfortable with your team as a playoff, as a contender with Bryce Young as your second quarterback?
As long as I have another guy in my top 20 as my third quarterback.
Yep, that's where I'm at too.
Yep. Yeah. So give me one of my top 7 guys, and give me 2 of the next 13, and I'm good.
Even if I've got like Bryce and Gino, I'm cool.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Anyone from that 17, 18 range on, I could probably feel that way about. So that's fair. I mean, we all have Stroud up there, but I'm not really comfortable with him as my QB2 either. I'm gonna want a good QB3 if I've got him because he could flop. Like, what if this, this downward trajectory continues?
They gotta fix the O-line which was the
Yeah.
same issue with Bryce. That's what happened with Bryce. But Stroud looks like
Yeah.
a completely different player without that protection.
Yeah. And he just can't run and move.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun. Like the last few years, how we've gotten all this information thrown at in our faces about how situations matter so much for these players. I mean, we literally saw Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold both running around in Panthers uniforms together at the same exact time, right? And both completely unsuccessful. And then both go separate ways on two different teams after, what's this, their third team each, and then just go and both have, top 5 seasons. And Baker doing it 2 years in a row.
Fourth team for both.
Fourth team each. Yeah, fourth team each. So
even crazier.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. It's insane. And both great prospects, right? Coming out.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Top 2 picks.
Yeah, top 3.
3.
Darnold was 3, wasn't he?
I thought it was Baker than Darnold, but I don't remember.
I thought it was-
Whatever.
Yeah, it was Baker than Darnold. That's right.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyways, doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
But how many of those guys out there, right, are like that? Where
Yeah, I mean
they
Gino
could have been really good players, and Gino, right, another one. And
the Saquon sandwich
Yeah.
between the two quarterbacks, by the way,
Of course. Yeah.
in that draft class.
I always forget Saquon went second
Yeah,
overall.
me too.
Jeez.
What a stud.
Thanks, guys. All right, what do you say we talk about some tight ends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chad, by guys, I meant the Giants. Thanks, Giants.
I don't care, man.
Yeah, you do.
You
All
can't
right, so
you
let's
can't
talk
hurt me
tight
any more than the Giants have already hurt me. So.
Yeah, I know. I understand. All right, so trust me, I do. How many tight ends do you care about, Mike?
I wrote down 7.
7? Okay.
And one I think is interesting. So I got Bowers, McBride, and Laporta. That's like my top 3, basically. You could put Bowers by himself if you want to. And the other ones were Kittle, Kraft, Andrews, but it felt kind of gross. And John was the one that I wanted to talk of.
Wow. Okay.
What? Like, you think that's for real?
No,
No.
I don't. I think it's as
Interesting.
real as Gesicki.
You think it's just because of Waddle's issues this year, or why not? Because he did all right in Atlanta, and then he goes to Tua. And
I mean, I don't think Johnny's a bad player, but he's not more interesting to me than like Jake Ferguson or Dallas Goedert or that whole clump of
Here we go with Goddard.
We know he's not more interesting to you than
guys. Can you just acknowledge that Goddard smashes every time he plays?
No.
Points per game, he's a monster. He just can't stay on the field.
Someone like smashes his what? Bones? Joints?
Yeah, pretty much.
He's tight end 14 for me. Goddard is.
I don't have a rank past 5.
Yeah. I did 20 just so I could have it. It's ugly.
I'm
It's
like,
ugly.
Yeah. How many?
what's the difference between
How many
Pitts
of
and
these
John?
guys do you care about, Austin? That's the question today.
I like 11 of them.
Woof.
I'm fine with 11 guys.
Ooh. Ew.
I have McBride first, and then Bowers, and then Laporta, and then Kincaid, Hawk, Kittle,
Oh, I totally forgot
Andrews,
Kincaid.
Kittle, Andrews, Pitts, and Njoku, Kraft, and Ferguson.
I don't care about most of those people. Chad, how many do you care about?
7.
Oh God, so many. Look, the list goes, and I don't even care what order. Bowers and McBride, and then you have Kittle by himself, and then Hawk, I think and Laporta, basically, I think could also get back to that Bowers McBride area. I think Hawk has been there. Hawk has been Dynasty tight end 1 in the past. I think he can get there, and he's still young enough. Other than that, I don't care. They're all the same.
What about
If you start
Andrews?
for a team and can catch.
Yeah, what about Andrews? He led the tight ends in touchdowns this year after having 0 in the first
Yeah.
4 weeks.
He's a little too old, and I think he's likely to take his job.
But your number 3 in Dynasty
Kittle?
isn't too old.
Kittle will be there next year. I don't know that Andrews is going to be there next year. The talk around here is that that this is it. This is his swan song. That's my problem with Andrews. If he goes anywhere else, I'm not interested. It's not that I'm not interested. I don't care.
I'm actually more interested if he goes somewhere
Come to
else. I think.
Denver.
They do say save 11 million cutting him.
Yeah, and that's.
I mean, depending on where he goes, man, he
looks a little washed. He got better as the season went on. Maybe he got healthier, but he looked really washed in the beginning of the season. And just, I don't know, man. He's kind of lost 2 steps. He's just got this thing where he knows where to stand in the end zone when Lamar's running around.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
Okay, but if he's not on the Ravens, that's not a good thing.
I mean, sure, every quarterback needs somebody to know where to stand when you in the end zone. I mean, that's pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after the horrid start, he finished at tight end 6 on the season.
Yeah, he got really hot, but yeah,
Nathan brings up a good question I would like to discuss because the name's ugly, but in Dynasty, it's a really important name. Can you pull that up, Jesse? Do y'all have any desire in him? What's the call? Obviously, none of y'all had him in your list. Yeah, Pitts.
Yeah, talking Pitts here for the podcast.
I've given up.
I've given up too.
Yeah, I'm
Zero
done.
Zero shares.
I'm done. I mean, I'm done. I'm done at cost, right? Like,
what is cost?
More than I'm willing to pay. Probably still a first.
Oof, really?
I don't think it is.
You don't think he's worth the first?
I think it's first.
I think
in the tight end premium league, I think it's first.
I don't think I could get that.
I don't think any Dynasty owner, including myself, if I have Pitts on my roster, which I don't think I have any Pitts, but if I did have Pitts on my roster and somebody sent me a second or 2 seconds, I'm not taking it. Unless they're like really high seconds, both. But I mean, it's just not worth it at that point. But at the same time, I'm not paying a first for him to acquire him. So,
would you rather have Pitts or the 202?
I mean, I don't know who the 202
say
is.
Let's say 0.5 premium.
I just take Pitts.
Yeah, I take Pitts too.
I'll take the 202.
So on keep trade cut, take it for what it's worth. In the plus tight end premium, I don't remember what that point's supposed to be, but he's sandwiched between a late 27 first and an early 25 second.
Yeah, I think he's a first. It's just a name brand. Like any guy that's in that range and they have a name like Kyle Pitts, you're not getting him for a second. You're gonna pay the first to get him.
Let's start shopping Kyle Pitts then.
He just turned 24.
I would be ecstatic to get like a 26 random first for him.
As Pitts managers, one thing to pay attention, which is likely going to happen, is to make sure that the 5th-year option and stuff, that they honor it and everything. So they picked it up last year, but this would be a good year to move him if you're a Falcons organization because it's cheaper. So this would be a big off season for him. I think, as Nathan said, I think a change of scenery would be great for him, especially at the age of 24.
I don't think he's a bad player. I think it's just usage. I don't think he's a bad player.
I think Drake London plays his position a lot better than he does. There's a problem there, and they don't have room
Drake
for
London's
that.
a better player than he is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they have room for this 2 of the same type of player.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool. Yeah, all right. So I will add one other, and I guess we got to go. One other player for me is the entire 2025 class because it's going to be pretty good. It's a pretty good tight end class that we have coming up here.
It absolutely is.
So I do care about that. That's how I get my tight ends. I draft them in 3rd, 4th, 5th round and hope they work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me all the Kate Ottens in the 4th round.
Yeah.
5th round.
I got a lot of graft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's Dulcich and it doesn't work out, so what? I cut you.
Yeah. Or you trade him when the value pops.
Exactly.
Yeah. Harold Fanning in the late 3rd, early 4th this year is going to be phenomenal on my Dynasty rosters.
Did RJ Maryland get hurt?
Who?
RJ Maryland.
Never heard of him, so maybe.
Okay. All right. Anything else from you guys?
That's it, sir.
I'm good.
All right. Next week, we are moving on to rookies.
Ooh.
It's been front office.
Peace.